I went to a plant-based wellness retreat in Belize and it was hosted by Lloyd and Todd, aka Plantcrazii and Turnip Vegan. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing a food demo done by Lloyd, aka Plantcrazii, and he's going to be showing us how to make vegan fritters, and he's going to be using chickpeas flour as the base. And while he is showing us how to make fritters, he's also sharing his story of how he became Plantcrazii. So check it out.
Like if you search black vegan male content creators, this dude might be #1 right now. Wow. Like I don't know any other content creator that's a black male that has close to 1 million followers.
Appreciate it.
Less.
Okay.
So to do this giveaway, I'm thinking how I could do it is
Anybody who come from Jamaica.
So you don't need much in order to make this recipe. This is all-purpose seasonings, a mix of all-purpose seasoning. We use what we had in the kitchen. Again, you can use the things that you have at home. Whatever your favorite seasonings are, you could just throw it into the mix, and you could taste the batter before you start frying it up. Or you could fry one and then taste that and see if you want to adjust things into the batter. And then by the time you're done, it should give you fritters that you really like because you taste it as you go. So all-purpose seasoning, paprika. I was introduced to Belize spice. So instead of using cayenne, I used the Belize spice. It had a lot of flavor. So you just dump that in there. This is black pepper and baking powder. Dump that in there. And because I'm not too familiar with the all-purpose seasoning out here, I don't know how salty it is, so in the end I will taste the batter to see if I need to adjust the salt. So that we could leave that aside for now. We'll come back to it. Try next one.
You use all-purpose flour, you said?
No, all-purpose seasoning.
Oh, and your
that's chickpea
cookbook,
flour.
you said all-purpose flour in your cookbook,
Yeah,
right?
in my cookbook I use all-purpose flour. And also I vary between heart of palm and jackfruit. Always using, people ask me this all the time on social media, what jackfruit are you using? And I use a canned jackfruit, specifically by the brand Grace, because it has a very flesh-like texture and it's softer than most jackfruits that you find in stores, and you don't need to boil it. So it's very fleshy. We'll actually chop that up first, and we'll make it like almost like saltfish. Has everyone had saltfish before?
Yes.
In life? No?
Yes.
Never had saltfish? Never had saltfish, normally you have to, like, it comes in like a dry pack, and then it's very salty, and you have to boil out the salt, and it has the house smelling. Like when I would go to school, after my mom boiled up saltfish, I'd be called fish boy because I just smell so fishy, you know. I used to tell my mom, like, you're gonna make fun of me. Like, start the noise, and I make what God provide. And that's just what it was, you know. So all you have to do is just give it little chops. You could either chop it or you can like smash it first to then start to get like the fish-like vibes. So you can chop or you can smash depending on how you want the texture to be inside of the fritter. I think smashing it is kind of easier and gets straight to the point, and then you give it like little small rough chops afterwards. So it starts to become a little like fish-like with the white flesh.
Saltfish and codfish is the same thing?
I believe so, yeah. Basically, jackfruit can make a lot of different things, and sometimes I use this in ackee to make ackee and saltfish as well. I don't know if you guys ever had the dish, but it's like a popular dish in Jamaica. All across the island, people wake up to ackee and saltfish. And just some kitchen tips. This is going based off of things that like I read on social media in my comments, where people are saying that it takes a lot of time to be in the kitchen and prepare. I think one of the most important tools that you need in your kitchen is a sharp knife. I've gone to friends' houses to cook things, and I realized that so many people have these dull knives in their kitchen. It takes forever, and it's like so dangerous because it could slip off of the food and then cut you when it wasn't meant to cut at that point. That's when it finally cuts, and it cuts you because you're not working with good equipment. So you want something that's sharp. before coming out here, I asked for the sharpest knife, and they sharpened it and they gave me this. So it's much easier to get around the kitchen with a sharp knife. And I always like to move fast in the kitchen so I'm not in there forever, so I could get back to Netflix. While I'm here, I'll tell you guys a little bit about my journey of how I became Plantcrazii, and Todd already shared how we ended up at Jade. But I used to be, well, I'm still very introverted. I know some people might say it doesn't seem that way, but once I leave here, I'm going to be recharging and I'm going to go back into my cocoon. And I just been that way. Like, I think after high school, I've been more in my own zone. And one day, friends came over, and every time we get together, someone picks what we're watching. So this time it wasn't my turn to pick what we're watching, and one of my friends said, "Let's watch What the Hell. Everyone's talking about it. Let's see what it's about." So we just knew that it was about food, but we didn't necessarily know that it would be talking about veganism and that it would change our life that night. So we watched What the Hell, and it just made us realize certain things. And we were like, is this true that if I stop eating this and that, I'm gonna feel this way and I won't die and I'll still be able to get my nutrients? And it was talking about cutting out the middleman and going straight to the source, because it's not, let's say, the chicken or the cow that's born with protein, it's the greens that they eat. And so we're like, let's cut out the middleman and see what that's like. So we challenge each other to 15 days, no meat, no fish, no dairy, no eggs. And we all felt good. We reported back. We all felt good. And what was fun is doing it in a group, which I think is the easiest way to transition, is that everyone's on the same page. Everyone's hunting for what they could eat. You all discover together that it's not as crazy, and that French fries is vegan, chickpeas is vegan. So we would call different restaurants and say, like, oh, do you have a vegan burger? And they would be like, yeah, we also have vegan lasagna. And we would go there. I'm like, what the hell? There's no meat in this thing? So after 15 days, no one lost the challenge. We're like 30 days. And everyone's like, all right, bet. 30 days, let's do it, 30 days. And 30 days became 8 years for 4 out of 6 of us, who just never went back to eating meat. And we literally gave away the things in the fridge. When we started the challenge, like, everyone started like give away the things to their parents and their siblings. Like, we don't want this in the fridge no more. We're on a challenge. So we took it very seriously. I think we had even like put money up at some point. And when money's involved, like, I'm not losing, you know? So my friends would encourage me. I was already cooking, like I told you guys, from a young age. And my friends would tell me that the vegan food I'm making is actually really good and that I should post it to social media. And at the time, I was one of them with those accounts who had like no avatar, no display picture, and I would just like spy on other people's things, see what they're up to, you know? And so it was weird for me to start posting, but my friends encouraged me to post, and they told me that it's not about me, it's about who I could help. There's maybe people out there that don't want to eat meat no more, want to switch things up in the house, so don't think about me, post for others. So I started to do that, share my recipes, and at some point it just took off. Next thing you know, I was in magazines. Next thing you know, it was paying me more than I was making at my job working in tech that was paying me 6 figures. And I was able to start making that just in a few months of doing social media. It was almost unbelievable, to the point where I told myself I'll only quit my job if I make double what I was making at work. And I did it once, and I still didn't quit. And I did it twice. And my mom and my sisters was like, "Don, just you don't need that other place no more." And you know, you always wanted to have a global impact. So now you have it. So I started doing social media full time. And again, I didn't let go until I felt like I was comfortable financially. I had responsibilities, so it's not like I could have just dropped my job and just do social media. I waited until I had a good cushion. And then doing social media created a lot of opportunities where I got to write my first cookbook, getting contacted by a publisher without needing to hire a literary agent. And that book did well. But then they contacted me saying like, hey, we would love for you to write a second book. Where I said, well, the price has gone up now. I don't have 30,000 followers anymore. I think at the time, I had like 300,000 before I wrote Island Vegan, when I spoke to you about Island Vegan. So I had about, let's say, 350,000 followers, and so the price went up. They agreed, and then came Island Vegan, and before Island Vegan came out, I had like maybe 750,000 followers. It went really fast. Things were taking off for me, and that was the first time I saw my mom cry for like work that I've accomplished, and I never felt like I hadn't gotten like she's proud of me many times, but I felt like that's just something a parent says to their child. But this time, with no words, I just saw her get emotional when she opened my book, and I dedicated the first page to her, saying that, "Mom, this is because of you." And so when she opened the book at the book launch, she got emotional, and I felt some type of way about it, like in a good way, where I was like, dang, you know, like here I am, and I never would have thought that this would be what I'm doing now. And it was working for me, and then I wanted to meet you guys. I wanted to meet people. I wanted to be more in front of the audience and not always behind the scenes. By the way, this chopping technique is like a game changer. You just put 2 fingers on the tip here, you hold the handle here, and you just go through it, rocking.
Yep.
Oh, did that again?
Scoop is my favorite way to chop.
Illustrate again.
So you want it to be minced, by the way, for the fritters. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. Recently I got invited to an event in New York, hosted by Forbes. I never thought that I'd be in that type of light. An inspiration was Turnip Vegan. I mean, I came on social media seeing him being so cool with veganism that it made me feel like, shit, veganism is cool like that? He's like, here's a burrito. Drizzle it with a sauce and chickadee, check the vibe. I was like, who is this dude, man? I was like, who is this dude? And he just had a vibe to him. I'm like, let me hit him up when I go to California then. And I didn't know if he would respond.
Yeah, the way he bited
I was like, this guy's a vibe, you know, like I want to be around him, you know, I want to learn about like his journey and stuff like that. So I had hit him up on social media, and that, I think that was the first or the second collab I ever did. The first collab was with someone who was in Canada, local to me. But then when I met Turnip, it's like I found a brother. And, you know, he pulled me on to when Jade contacted him. So yeah, and we just been doing a lot of different business together, and when we get contacted by brands, like I'll either like push, if they're looking for someone else, I'll push them to Turnip. When he gets contacted, he'll push them to me. And we've just been looking out for each other, because I feel like, especially in the black community, sometimes there's too much competition. You see like the Asians working together, you see the Jews working together, and then like the brothers are kind of like in competition, but it shouldn't be that way. I feel like me and Turnip, we understand that, and we look out for each other, and we've just been growing the brotherhood since then.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of habanero pepper.
Want me to take these into the kitchen?
Thank you. Just a little bit of habanero. I normally use Scotch bonnet. That's what's in the cookbook. But I think they're from the same family, so you don't really, if you can't find habanero, I mean Scotch bonnet, just use habanero. Depending on your spice level, because it's not even needed. Have you guys ever had fritters of any kind before, like banana fritters or like? No?
Maybe.
That's Caribbean roots. Who told me I'm from Trinidad?
Janice.
Janice, yeah, right. No one else?
Half Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican? Jamaican and Haitian? Haiti? Do you speak a little Creole? No? In my cookbook, Bayesian?
Ooh, Beijing.
In my cookbook, I have some Haitian recipes like akra, the Haitian rice and peas, something called legume, which is like mashed eggplant. It's like so fragrant, so fire. I have that in my cookbook. And I included recipes like from Trinidad, like the bus up shot roti, the dalpuri roti, tomato choka. Tomato choka, you basically smoke tomatoes over fire until they start to caramelize on and bruise on the outside, and the sugars on the inside start to form. And then you chop up like onions and garlic. You put that in a bowl and you pour a little bit of hot oil over it. It releases all the flavors. You just dip a pillowy roti in that and you scoop it and you eat it like that.
Sorry.
Great Plantcrazii talk about food just makes you hungry.
You can see like every move.
Yes, indeed.
Again, all of these ingredients that I'm putting in there, it's very optional. It's not something that if you don't have tomatoes, you can't make it. And I wanted to have in my book things that, at least some recipes that if ever you don't have everything, it's not like you can't make a recipe from inside my book. You can with what you have. And in each recipe, like I put a description just to kind of give you like an idea of what to expect as you make that recipe. So there's either a story behind it or there's history about the recipe itself and where it originates from. Like Trinidadian doubles being one of the most iconic street foods in Trinidad. That's inside the book as well. So if ever you guys want to do something nice for me, you've never ordered my book yet, please do. So onion. So far we have we have habanero in there, we have onion, we have tomato, we have bell peppers, so you could use your bell pepper of choice. So I kind of just do lines in the onion like that. I do little slices like that, and then it minces it pretty quickly. Saves you time in the kitchen. And I never went to culinary school. I learned all of this by watching a lot of food shows, a lot of MasterChef, and yeah, we just practice. One time I almost chopped my finger, and now I could just like not look at it, you know, and just know I'm safe. But yeah, no culinary school involved. So even like if you guys are a fan of garlic, you could put garlic in there. Just don't do that on date night. Vampire breath. You want to avoid that. So using creativity, you can kind of like when you eat food figure out where could I get these flavors from when you're cooking. And so you want to get ocean vibes in your food, use seaweed. Either use seaweed in the boil, like there's options. I could have, before I chopped this, I could have boiled it with seaweed in a pot. It would have gave it very fishy vibes. I could have seasoned it with bits of seaweed overnight with a little bit of oil and salt, covered it, and left it in the fridge overnight. And that would have been very like oceany. So depending on the level of how much like fish taste you want in your food, there's different methods that you could apply. So in the fritters, you don't want it to be like overpowered with fish taste. So I just chop it and then put it in. I don't like soak or boil the jackfruit with the seaweed. So these small snack seaweed sizes, I feel like it's easier to handle. It's not the big sheets. There's less waste. So you can kind of gauge how much you need, 1 pack, 2 pack, and then you just go with that. So I don't know if you guys ever had seaweed by itself just as a snack.
Yes. Love it.
And it's very fishy, right? Like ocean-like. And this one is like already like flavored. It already has the salt and everything in there. So to be fast, you can always just pop this in a mini blender and blitz it into bits, and then put that powder into your food, into your crust, in batters, and you'll get all the sea vibes from that. But since we don't have like a very mini blender, you could just give it some rough chops and then give it small chops, and then it will go into bits. And again, a sharp knife, because if you're using a dull knife, there's no way that it will chop this up. So even as I'm cutting it, like I can smell the ocean vibe. I make also just saltfish with fried dumplings with jackfruit or heart of palm. And again, for both, use canned. It will simplify your life than to get like, let's say, a whole jackfruit, or I don't even know where to extract heart of palm from, so we don't want to really go that route. And I know some people online have said they had a hard time finding jackfruit. I realized that you could just order it off of Amazon. It's canned. It will come to your house, and then you could cook with it.
Grace.
I just tried to look it up. I couldn't find
Grace Foods. Type Grace
Really?
Foods.
Yeah, you should be able to find it on Amazon. So you can like leave it like this at this point, or you could chop it a bit more. I'm gonna give it like 2 more chops to really get it minced. But if I was home, I would just use a mini blender and blitz it.
Okay, if you're at home, you would blend it?
Yeah, I would just use a mini blender, blitz
Do you
it.
use food processor to chop some stuff?
Yeah, I do. I do, but I don't have. Yeah, but I don't have like a mini food processor. And oftentimes for my recipe on social, I'm making like a one-man portion.
Yes.
So it's like I'm always just like chopping or using what's it called, the mortar and pestle. And that's pretty much it. So that's good enough. And oils are getting released, which is nice. It will give like the little fatty aspect to your fritters. And then other than this, the last thing that goes in there, well, the before last, is a little bit of fresh green onion, which is like optional. You could put fresh cilantro, you could put fresh parsley. So there's green onion, and I was looking for fresh thyme, but it had fresh oregano from the garden. So you pluck that from the garden. Here it goes.
Scallion?
Yeah, green onion, scallion. I don't know if there's another name for it. I think
No,
spring
it's the
onion.
same.
At this point, I could just move this. Thank you. And Deidre, could you give me the water jug, please? Thank you. So this is how it looks before the liquid goes in there. So you want it vibrant because these colors will pop out the fritter. We serve the fritters during festive season, like Christmas and stuff like that, while people are waiting for the actual food. You get a little cup of soup.
Appetizer.
The soup, the popular soup Jamaican serve is called Manish water. Why that name? Don't know. Very strange, but it's a very fragrant soup. And then like when you see like the elders cooking it up, you just be like, okay, the pot's bubbling, like the soup is soon ready, you know. And we'd get excited, and then they would serve fritters with that as well. And it's normally saltfish fritters. I'm posting recipes. It's kind of hard to tell people how much liquid to use, especially a lot of people don't have a scale for weight. Because if everyone had a scale for weight, which would simplify our lives, then we could just say 200 grams flour and then a certain amount of water, and we know you'll have what we have. But then people come in the comments like, what is it in cups? But my 1 cup is not the same as your 1 cup. My 1 cup could like overflow the cup a little bit. And then if I told you only 1 cup of water, thank you, then you might not have enough water. And then someone will come back in the comment section and say, I tried the recipe, it doesn't work. Right? So if you guys all can, if you don't have already, please get a scale. It will simplify our lives. But in the cookbook, you'll have both. You'll have the measurements in cup, you'll have the measurements in grams. But I would say use grams if you want to have the exact result that I had as well. So I would say this is pretty much like a pancake consistency, or even maybe a little bit thicker, because when you drop it in the oil, you want it to kind of like stay on the spoon a little bit before it falls in there. And you can now pop in the pieces of jackfruit. You might need to adjust the water at that point. I may not need as much.
We are so intrigued, all 3 of us. Let's go in together.
And then never be afraid, like don't let, if I could give you one piece of advice that has helped me a lot, is don't let food or the kitchen intimidate you. Own the ground you're on. Feel very confident. Yeah, I might need just a bit more, thank you. Feel very confident when you approach food, and I feel like the best way to prepare for confidence is to have the right tools. Like I said, a sharp knife. I prefer a wood cutting board.
That's what I was going to say.
And then always have a knife sharpener. And when you're done with your knife, when it comes out the dishwasher, I wouldn't really recommend washing a really good knife in a dishwasher. But once it's dry, You sharpen that knife, you put it back, it's ready to go for when you're gonna see that's gonna build your confidence. Having the right equipment already is gonna build your confidence. A high powered blender, a food processor, those things will build your confidence because you know like it will work how you need it to work.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So at this point, you want to taste your batter. This is the first time that I'm making a batch this big, so of course I want to taste it before I fry the whole thing. So there's two ways to just see if it's ready to fry or ready to make in big batches. Is you taste it before it goes in. Thank you. No, I'll leave that here. You taste it before it goes in, or you fry one and you taste that one fritter.
Okay.
So I could taste it with a little bit of Belize spice that Tanya hooked me up with. I could already taste that coming through, which will be quite nice to just have that as a kick in the back when you bite into it. I'm gonna add just a bit of water. I did add a little jackfruit just to loosen it just slightly. I don't know if the oil is ready, but we'll test it. And I've cooked over the fire before, but not like frying things. In Jamaica, when they're like, oh, you can use the kitchen, I'm like, could you just build a fire? And I just go with a cast iron. Give me a cast iron fire and let me chop this up ahead of time, and I'm just down by the fire. And last time I made a smoky sweet jerk mushroom. Actually, turnip was there when I made that in Jamaica, and everyone went crazy. Everyone went crazy when I chopped it up. It looked like had like a chicken vibe, and it was very, very tasty, and it was like caramelized by the smoke and the heat, so the jerk really sticks to the mushroom. So a way to test the oil, I have another tool you want to have at home is a heat gun, where you can just beam the laser into the oil and it will tell you what temperature it is. That way as well, when you're following recipes, you'll have a better chance of hitting the result that the recipe is meant to have if you have a heat gun, because we'll often instruct saying fry in oil at 350 degrees. So if you don't even have a gun, like right now it's bubbling against a spoon, so I know it should be ready to go in. Drop that in there. And you want kind of like a slow fry so that it could cook all the way through. So now it's bubbling, but I'll wait till it gets even a little bit hotter, because as you keep adding things to the oil, the temperature starts to drop. So if I was to, right when it just became ready to fry, if I was to start adding a bunch of stuff in there, some would come out crispy, some wouldn't. So we're gonna wait a little bit so that we don't saturate the oil with a bunch of stuff. And who here is a cook? Who enjoys being in the kitchen? Okay, very nice. I feel like it's therapeutic. Like you get to separate from anything that's going on in life, because you gotta focus. If not, the food is coming out all bad. So I feel like that's when I get to really separate from things and just be in my own zone. Sometimes I like to even put on headphones and listen to music that I like. If it's like Caribbean music that I'm making, like I'll have a little dance on, like, you know, just vibing while I'm cooking. I'm happy, and I feel like cooking shouldn't be pressure. It shouldn't be stress. It should be like something that you're making out of love. You're about to feed yourself or feed people. So yeah, it's nice to be in a good mood. Like Tanya, when we connected with her, one of the things that stood out to us is just how happy she is. It's like even today she had to make more veggie balls, and she was just happy to do it. She's like boom, boom, boom in the kitchen, and she was like, "You think this is good?" And she's just rocking the sauce. I was like, "Shit!" Happy to do it.
We all got to taste the vegan fritters, and it was good. I'm not a flour person, but I wanted to try it. If you have not yet gotten your copy of Island Vegan by Lloyd, aka Plantcrazii, then be sure to get your copy on Amazon. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next video, blessed love.